In this video, we'll work on converting numbers from fractions into decimals. We'll go through a bunch of different examples, but I encourage you to pause the video as we go to try some of them on your own. It's very easy to convert from a fraction to a decimal if you have a calculator, because you can just divide the top number by the bottom number and see what comes out. So I encourage you not to use a calculator on these problems. So let's look at the first start example. We have 379 over 1,000. Now 1,000 is a 1 followed by many zeros, which means that converting this fraction into a decimal will be very, very easy. Here we have, if we think about what this decimal says, 379 thousandths. Well, we can think about a decimal that has 379 thousandths, because this has tenths place, hundredth place, thousandth place as its last place. So we can read this number off as 379 thousandths, which means that these two numbers are actually the exact same. So when we see a number in the bottom that's just a 1 followed by a bunch of zeros, it's very easy to convert the number from a fraction into a decimal. We just write the number down and put the decimal point so that everything works out. Let's try another example. So here we have 3 over 250. This one's a little harder because 250 doesn't look like what we want. But we can change our fraction around a little bit so that it works. If we multiply it by 4 over 4, which we can do because that's just multiplying by 1, what we get is 12 over 1,000. Now it's in the form we want, so we can just think about this as 12 thousandths. Now we have to be careful. If we want a 2 in the thousandth place, and then our 1 should be in the hundredths place, which means we need to fill the tenths place with something, like a 0, and then just add our decimal point. So this gives us our decimal as 0.012, which is 12 thousandths, which is the same as 3 over 250. Let's move on to the next example. Here we have 3 over 12. Now, this fraction isn't simplified, because if we divide the top by 3, we get 1, and if we divide the bottom by 3, we get 4, which is to say that this fraction is the same as 1 over 4. Now 1 over 4, we can get into a very easy form by multiplying both the top and bottom by 25. This gives us 25 over 100. So it means the fraction that we're looking for is 25 hundredths, which is 0.25. This fraction is 25 hundredths, which is the same as this fraction, which is the same as the fraction we started with. Finally, let's look at this bottom example. Again, this number isn't in the form that we want, so let's multiply everything by 4. So let's take 6049 over 2500 and multiply both the top and the bottom by 4. If you work through the math, the number that you'll get up top is 24,196, and in the bottom you'll get 10,000. Now, the numerator here is bigger than our denominator, so we can turn this into a mixed number. We can take out 20,000 over 10,000 and still have 4,196 over 10,000 remaining. Now this number here is just 2, And this number, if we look at the tricks we were using earlier, is just 4,196 10,000ths. So we can just compute this as 0.4196. Now, we can just add these two numbers together to get 2.4196, which is our final answer. So this fraction that we started with, 6049 over 2500, is actually equal to 2.4196.